Hi everyone, this is Miss Byrd. How are you? So today we're going to be talking about graphing and describing linear functions. This is when you have a linear graph, which is a straight line, and you will have an x-intercept. That means that's where the graph crosses the x-axis. It's also known as the x-coordinate of the point that crosses through the x-axis. Another name for that is called the zero or the root. So that's the x-coordinate of the x-intercept. And you also have what's called the y-intercept. This is the point where the graph crosses or intersects the y-axis. This is also known as the y-coordinate of the point. And you have slope. Slope is considered how steep a line, a graph is. The slope is measured by its steepness, and you can measure it by calculating the rise over run or the change in y over the change in x. So we're going to go ahead and look at some examples of that. The first example here, number 1, says, what is the y-intercept of the line below? So the y-intercept, we said, is where it crosses the y-axis. So I'm going to use my little pen here so you can see, okay, so this is the y-axis here. And then you just check where does it cross the y-axis, and it crosses it here at the -1. So the answer is letter A. Number 2, we're going to skip 2 and go to number 3. The graph of the linear function is shown below. Which ordered pair best represents the location of the x-intercept? So it crosses the x-axis. That's the x-intercept right here. So it crosses it at the -2. So when you look at the coordinate point, it is x is -2 and y is 0. So the best answer here is letter C. Okay, let's go to the next one. Number 5. Which line appears to have an x-intercept of 4 and a y-intercept of -2? Okay, so the x-intercept of 4, that's what I'm going to focus on first. The x-intercept here would be where it crosses the x-axis. Here it crosses it at -4. I'm looking for +4, so it's not A. Letter B, it crosses it at 2. Letter C, the x-intercept is at -2. And then letter D, it's at +4. So the best answer here is letter D. The other thing we need to double check is y-intercept of a -2. So when I go back to letter D and I look at where it crosses the y-axis, here it is at -2. Number 7, the graph of the line is shown below. What is the slope of the line? So the slope is when you have the change in y over the change in x. So you pick 2 points, and I usually like to pick where it crosses the y-axis or the x-axis. So here we cross the y-axis at 0 and -4. And this point crosses the x-axis at 6 and 0. So we could do rise over run, or you could find the difference between these 2 points. If I find the difference, I'm going to start with this point, and I'm going to start with the change in y. So I have -4 minus 0 over 0. You start with the first point that you used, minus 6. So when you simplify this, -4 minus 0 is -4 over -6. And I noticed that this is not simplified, so a negative divided by a negative is positive. And then 4 and 6 have a 2 in common, so we simplify it to 2 over 3. So my slope is 2/3, which is letter C. If you did rise over run, well, first you could see that this is a positive slope. And then from this point to this point, I'm going to rise, and you count how far is it to go up. 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So the rise is 4 over, and then you count what the run is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces. So you just simplify that and you get the same answer. Okay, let's move on to number 9. Okay, so it says the graph of the model shows the altitude of a cable car or tram that ascends to the top of Mount Pleasant. What is the slope of the graph in feet per minute? Okay, so first it's asking for slope, and they want it in feet per minute. So feet per minute means feet per minute. And if you look at your graph, you're going to notice that it's y over x, which is what we've been doing for slope, the change in y over the change in x. So you pick 2 points on the graph. So I'm going to pick the 4 here at the y-intercept. And then I'm going to follow the graph all the way until I find where it crosses the grid lines right in the corners. So right here, I notice that it crosses them on the corners of the grid. So I'm going to find out what's my slope. So you can do your rise. So I notice that it jumps from 4 to a 6. So the change in y is 2. And then I want to see how does it jump from 0 to this point, which is 2.5. So I notice that it jumps 1, 2.5. So here we would have 2.5. Now remember it was feet per minute. So it's 2 feet for every 2.5 minutes, but it's not really 2 feet because it says thousands of feet. So this is actually 2,000 feet per 2.5 minutes. So we're going to use this information to find out which slope matches. So I'm going to use a calculator and do 2,000 divided by 2.5. So you can do that when you go to decimals. You could do that by going to decimals. So I'm going to type in 2,000 divided by 2.5. And it says 800. So when I go back to my answer choices, I notice that it is letter B. All right, that's it. That was for graphing and describing linear functions. I hope this helped you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.